Hi and welcome to this video in the MRDCL Central Working Smarter series, and in this video we're going to be looking at formatting tables in Excel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run these tables in the normal way within Central. You could have run them in Classic, it doesn't matter, but I run them in Central here quickly, and you can see over here we've got 9 tables, and there they are. So there's some pretty standard tables, 9 pages of them. Now what I want to do now is to get them into Excel so that we've got hyperlinks and different types of tables so that I can do different things with the tables having formatted them. So let's have a little look at how we do that. We go on to this icon here, which is called the report indexer settings. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see I've got a large number of settings here that I can use. So the first things here, I can set which types of sheets I want in my Excel workbook. Well, I've got set by default figures and column percentages. You can see you've got row percentages that you could have. You could have figures and column percentages in the same worksheet, and figures and row percentages in the same worksheet. But I'm going to just stick to these main 2 ones, the most common ones that people have: figures and column percentages in separate sheets. Now that's particularly useful, particularly if you want to do some charting later, that you might just want to do some charts on the column percentages. So to have those separate in a separate sheet is a little bit advantageous when it comes to doing your charting. Now the Run will produce a worksheet as well that has all the links to these tables so that you can navigate very quickly. And these are the names of the hyperlinks. So if you don't like the word figs, let's say you want the word figures here, you can just edit that and it will put the word figures out for the hyperlink rather than figs, which is the term that's used. And very similar sort of system with the actual tab names. These are the default tab names: figures, vertical percentages, horizontal percentages. If you want to rename them something else with your own name for the worksheets or the tabs in Excel, click on that button there, and then you can see that they're highlighted, and you could just change these to whatever you want them to be. I'm going to leave them as the default. And then down here it tells me the different options that I want in my output. So you probably want the table identifier so you can see what table number there is, but again, if you can turn that off if you want to. You might want the project header, or you might not want that. Same with any footnotes that are in the tables. I've got this one turned on for the column headers, and so on. So all these different types of labeling, you can choose whether you have them or not in your outputs. I certainly want the total row. I want any stats at the bottom. These markers here refer to any significance tests that you want. So if you want to see significance tests come out, you'd need to turn that one on by clicking like that, but I'm going to leave that one off for this particular case. A blank line just separates each line by a blank row. That's not particularly useful, turning that on if you want to do charts later. I like to see the base title, and there's 1 or 2 other titles you can show here, like the footnote and the horizontal title. And then you get some formatting options. So this is the spacing between each table, which means it puts 3 blank lines out. This shows how many decimal places you get for your figures. Well, that will typically be 0 unless you've got weighting. You might want 1 decimal place, or perhaps if you're showing your data in thousands, you might want 1 or 2 decimal places. For the column percentages, again, the default here is 0, but if you wanted 1 decimal place, you could do that, and so on. Same with the stats down here. If you want 1 or 2 decimal places for all your stats, you can change that here. But then once you're ready, you can run that. Now, if you find that you're always changing these options as a sort of regular thing, that for every run or most runs that you perform, you want to change some of these options, what you can do is just save them over here and save them to a file, a TI4 file as it's called, and then import them. And then, or you could have different sets of TI4 file settings so that you can choose them maybe for different projects. So if you want to do that, you have different types of outputs that you want to generate in Excel for different types of projects. Just save them to a TI4 file, and then you can import those settings and use them whenever you want to. When you're ready to run this, you just click on the Run Report Indexer button, and it tells me now that my output's complete. If I go back to the editor window, I can now open on this icon here the XLSXL workbook that it's generated for me. So I looked at the tables just now, you remember. I can look at those tables as a CSV file, but more importantly, if I close this, I can look at what we've just generated there in the report indexer, and that will produce an output where we've got the tables names down here, the titles down here, any base titles if there are one. We can look at the original table here which had figures and percentages, but let's say I just want to look at the percentages. I can click on here and you can see it hyperlinked straight to the table I chose there, and I've got the percentages, which means it makes it nice and easy now to perhaps grab those cells there if I wanted to do a bar chart or something like that in Excel or PowerPoint. So I hope this video has been useful to you. It's shown you how you can take a run of tables and easily get them into Excel with hyperlinks. The index you'll see is back here if you want to click back on the index tab, and you can navigate around your tables very easily and use those figures in other types of reporting such as in Excel or PowerPoint. Thanks for joining me.